is allotted, how scores in GRE are predicted. That is another element. See, when it comes to Indian exams, it's pretty clear. You get a correct answer or you get a wrong answer, there is a negative marking, and you know you can predict your answers. In GRE, however, that is not the case. That's why very quickly first I'll walk you through the entire process. Okay. Is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So now, very quickly first, always remember this thing. In GRE, the very first thing that comes is the analytical writing section. Okay. So analytical writing, you get 30 minutes to do this. There is only one question and essentially you have to write a complete essay. Okay. Now I have written in the question types, analyze and issue essay. Now it can be an argument based essay as well. Now what do I mean by this? I'll be deliberating on that further in detail. Okay. Then we move ahead. Then we move to the second section. Okay. Now this second section happens to be verbal reasoning. Now, in the exam, it's compulsory that your first section is going to be analytical writing. After this, sections can switch between quantitative reasoning versus verbal reasoning. The order is automated. We do not have a choice in it. Okay. And there is no break between this entire examination. So this exam happens in one go. The next session automatically starts after one is over. Is this part clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we move on to the second part. That is the number of sections. Now again, verbal and quant both have two sections. As you can see, I have created a distribution 12 plus 15, 12 plus 15. So section 1 has 12 questions, section 2 has 15 questions. Now, when we are talking about this particular bit, again, overall time allotted to these specific sections is also timed and limited. Okay. So section 1 has a separate timing, section 2 has a separate timing. I'll just show you here. In verbal reasoning, section 1 is again 18 minutes. You have 12 questions. Section 2, 23 minutes. You have 15 questions. Then in quantitative, you have 21 minutes in the first section, 26 minutes in the second section. Okay. Analytical writing, everything is fixed. But in these two, there are separate timings for this as well. So ऐसा भी नहीं है like our exams कि ठीक है मैंने एक section उठाया and now if I'm solving quant, I can take my own time with it. Further division has happened. So again, we come back to the aggregate timing of 1 minute, 1.5 minutes per question. ठीक है? ये तो हो गया पूरा timing की बात. Now we come to the question types that happen to be there. So now even in quant, these are the four most important things that are asked: arithmetics, algebra, geometry, and data analysis. Around this, your entire paper is going to rest. When we come to verbal now, yes, which is our domain here, we have reading comprehensions, text completions, and sentence equivalence. And like Praveen had pointed this out, I guess it was Praveen or Sarthak, that reading comprehension plays a very important role. So you get on an average 4 to 5 reading comprehensions in this particular set. Okay, so 4 to 5 reading comprehensions. Apart from reading comprehensions, text completion. Now, what does text completion do? Text completion is essentially based on, fill in the blanks. You have to figure out what would fit correctly, what can be used. Okay. You might even get some templates. There are certain question templates wherein you might have to choose what would be the correct statement that makes a complete sense out of this particular thing. That is also a question type that at times has been asked. Then we have sentence equivalence. Now, sentence equivalence essentially is pure vocabulary based exercise. What does it do? Very simple. You might be given a sentence and the word might be highlighted in bold. Now, they will simply ask you that you have to choose another set of words. Now, again, this could vary. Okay. It's not necessary that it's going to be like just one blank or two blanks. Somewhere it could be it could be a single blank. In some places it could be two blanks, three blanks. At places it can even go up to 6 blanks. and there could be like a whole passage given out to you. So sentence equivalence would do what now? Again, sentences might be given, words might be highlighted in bold, and then you have to figure out a combination that exactly replaces the word, but the meaning essentially remains the same. So you figure out the correct pair, or you figure out the correct group of words that can replace the existing words, and essentially my meaning retains. This is sentence equivalence. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, Prachi.
Ma'am, can you please explain from text completion? I missed out. I'm so
See,
sorry.
text completion is fill in the blanks. Okay, very simple. You have like passages given. Okay, now it could be two sentences, it could be four sentences, it could be uh, 4 to 5 sentences even. And then there are certain fill in the blanks given within the passage. And for that, certain combinations are given in the options. You have to choose the correct option that would completely fit the meaning of the sentences and conveys a proper sense. Got it?
Got it. And what
And
about
ma'am,
sentence equivalence?
Yes, Praveen?
yeah, ma'am. Next, you are going to explain the sentence equivalence. So just wanted to ask you
Yeah,
that in option, there will be some words and
yes. So
another
what
word
will happen
would
in
already be
sentence
there.
equivalence? For example, let's say I'm saying that, again, a very simple example I'll give that I am feeling very lackadaisical today. Okay. Now, lackadaisical is highlighted in bold, and they ask me that you have to replace this word, and then there are 4 5 options given to me, and let's say it's easygoing, laid back, lazy. And now you have to choose the correct word that would not change the meaning of the sentence. Yes? So you choose the appropriate word and then you make it right. That is sentence equivalence. Means what? I'll highlight certain words in the sentences that are there. I'll highlight them in bold. Now I'll give you a group of words in the option. I'll ask you to pick and choose the words or the vocabulary combination that if it replaces those words in bold, it still makes complete sense. The sentence's meaning or nuance has not changed or altered. Clear हुआ सबको?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है? So again, what is happening apart from reading comprehension, we can see that text completion and sentence equivalence are heavily dependent on contextual vocabulary and understanding and uh, knowing more and more words as possible, right? So this is verbal reasoning part. Now I come to the analytical writing section. Now this is a very important section that we often tend to ignore. Okay. So first things first, how many of you feel that your writing skills are like good enough?
I don't know, but like I have been developed uh, thinking in a structured way so that I can convey and show coherence in writing, but yeah,
Okay. All
not
right.
sure completely.
So what about others? Okay. Now, very quickly, I'll tell you how we attempt the analytical writing section. Of course, we'll be dedicating separate sessions to each one of these categories. But essentially, what happens in analytical writing is that there can be two types of essays that are asked. One is analyzing an issue, one is analyzing an argument. Just a second. Now, what is the difference between an issue and an argument?
Sorry, ma'am, come again.
I'm asking what is the difference between an issue versus an argument. What do you understand by this when I tell you that you have to write an essay analyzing an issue or an argument?
In issue, we are highlighting the pain point, uh, the basically issues and which causes other issues, connecting dots and end result uh, through analyzing it. And in the analyzing an argument, like uh, some bibliography is there, like some scholars or maybe some authors are saying something, and in that we have to analyze the uh,
Okay, okay,
what they are stating and
all right,
mm,
fine.
powerful points.
Okay, see, it's pretty easy. Do not complicate it too much in your head, otherwise, you'll be a little intimidated when it comes to writing. Okay, बहुत simple है. Issue क्या हो गया? Issue means there is a particular topic. Okay, there is a particular idea put out there for us to analyze. Now, the issue can have pros, the issue can have cons. We try to come up with an overall understanding of this thing that okay, these are the pros of this thing, these are the cons of this thing, and hence we come to this particular conclusion. Yes, this is more like you are discussing both the viewpoints and then you are drawing up your own conclusion based on whatever evidences you have presented. That is an issue based essay. When I come to an argument based essay, so in an argument based essay, what happens? You might be given a particular situation, okay? That let's say company X has changed the material of the tires that they were using for producing bikes to from material A to material B since it was costing a lot, uh, while material B costs cheaper. Uh, However, post the purchase of those bicycles, there has been a lot of wear and tear of the tires that is happening. However, the company claims that this has certainly been more of a profitable move for the company. ठीक है? Supposedly, ऐसा कुछ situation दे देंगे. Or could be a particular argument about, let's say, the nutritionist recommends that one should have this much of protein and this much of carbohydrates in their diet. And when the players started consuming it, there was a certain effect. Now, you might agree with the argument, you might find loopholes within the argument that happens most of the times. So then you have to analyze the argument and you have to figure out the loopholes perhaps, or maybe if you're for it and you feel that nahi nahi ye to sahi hai, so then you go with the for argument and then you write a complete essay elaborating on the points and discussing how this is a valid or an invalid argument. Understood? So दोनों essays की approach थोड़ी सी अलग है. इशू बेस्ड ऐसे में ये होगा कि एक टॉपिक दे दिया गया है एंड देन इन जनरल लाइक यू सेड यू कनेक्ट ऑल द डॉट्स द प्रोज एंड द कॉन्स हाउ डू वी डू इट what is happening, how is it impacting other sectors, what do we do about all of that. So that is issue based. And then when we move towards argument based, so already a situation will be given to you and then within those 30 minutes you have to figure out what the argument is trying to state. Okay, how much do we understand it? What are the points that we feel that yes, these are the good points, these are the bad ones, and then how do we work around? Clear हो गया सबको?
Ma'am, I have one question. Like as
Yeah.
Praveen mentioned that for argument, it's always better to quote someone. Is it like is that how
See,
it
it
should be
completely
technically?
no, again, see, it completely depends upon the nature of your argument, right? अगर मान लो एक supposition based um, essay आ गया है wherein a situation has been given to you. Now you have no idea of the situation or anybody who is like very influential in that particular regard. चलो मान लो इकोनॉमिक्स से रिलेटेड कुछ आ गया एंड यू आर इकोनॉमिक्स स्टूडेंट सो यू नो कि अच्छा कौन सा प्रिंसिपल यहाँ पे लगेगा और कौन सा नहीं लगेगा. So you might make a direct or an indirect preference in your essay that this defies all the rules and laws of the so and so rule, right? बट मान लो कुछ ऐसा टॉपिक है जिससे रिलेटेड हमें ज्यादा कुछ पता ही नहीं, राइट? सो अगर हम credible sources को नहीं भी बोल पा रहे हैं, we should be able to construct it in such a way, we'll use very formal language in that case, that sources claim or researchers have found, or the correlation between these two variables isn't justified, या they are lacking some evidence, or this is rightly placed. तो इस तरीके से we'll have to create a very formal language.
Noted. Thank you.
ठीक है? Yes. Then yes, this is analytical writing. Okay, got it? तो इसकी practice भी specifically बहुत जरूरी है. Okay. Now I come to the next point, which is how does the scoring happen? How do we really break it down? How we are going to perform in our exam? Okay. So apart from the analytical writing section, which is more or less fixed, उसमें difficulty level fixed होता है already. When it comes to verbal and quantitative, now these are pretty adaptive. What does it mean? It means that first of all, whichever section comes in front of you, you're going to start solving it. Now, there will be a variancy of the difficulty level of questions. Okay, so supposedly you get one correct, then you go for the second one, then you go for the third one. So the questions might get tougher, or let's say if the question starts with on a tough note, then maybe it will get a little lighter. But the more you're getting correct questions, difficulty level is going to increase or decrease, it will oscillate. And then let's say you supposedly attempt a particular question and your answer goes wrong. So based on the number of questions, whatever is the majority of the number of questions that go right for you. Let's supposedly you are somebody जिसके majority questions जो average category में थे वो सही चले गए, या आप you are somebody जिसके की questions जो difficulty level highest है उसमें आपके questions ज्यादा सही चले गए in comparison to others, right? So based on whatever difficulty level that goes right for you in the previous section, based on that, the second section is placed. यानी कि टेस्ट completely adaptive है. जैसे जैसे सॉफ्टवेयर देखता जाएगा that you are able to solve a question of a certain difficulty level correctly, it is going to amp up the difficulty level. The moment it sees that, okay, yes, there is a string of questions that are going wrong, okay, 1, 2, then slowly the level might go down and you might get a correct answer. So based on that, it sets up the difficulty level on its own. इसके बेसिस पे बहुत ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है like how your score is going to have that variancy. This is where the unpredictability comes from. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, तो quant and verbal, because like I told you that दोनों में से कोई भी सेक्शन पहले आ सकता है, कोई भी सेक्शन बाद में आएगा, right? So whatever section you are attempting first, based on how you have been performing in that, you go down and then you move on to the next section, and the difficulty level is set based on whatever pattern you have. And then based on whatever the ratio is overall of your right questions, how many difficult questions versus how many average level questions versus how many easy level questions. So based on that, then your score is calculated. You could be somebody who ended up feeling that okay, मैंने तो बहुत सारे answers correct किए थे आज. A lot of them went right. Few of them went wrong, but the rest of them went right. But when you come out, you get to know कि मैंने जो मेरे इतने सारे questions correct चले गए, उनका level जो था वो easy था. So your score might not be that high. Right? On the other hand, there could be someone जिसकी variance थी कि easy question गलत हो गया. Yes, because of course they have set a particular metric कि इससे ज़्यादा easy भी नहीं देंगे. This is like the last dot, and इससे ज़्यादा difficult भी है. उस particular metric में the questions oscillate based on how many questions go right or wrong. And then there could be a scene wherein you got your questions, and fine, your easy answer at times, might go wrong, but then the next question was of an average level and you did it correctly. So based on that, your score might increase. This is how it works. क्लियर हुआ है? सो एक और फैक्टर जो आ जाता है अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी का, वो ये भी आ जाता है दैट वट एवर सेक्शन इज गोइंग टू कम फर्स्ट, बेस्ड ऑन दैट ऑल्सो मेनी थिंग्स गेट डिटर्मिन्ड. एक चीज जो हमेशा फिक्स रहती है वो ये कि सबसे पहले एनालिटिकल राइटिंग है, उसके बाद में ये जो भी. Then we also see that verbal ability may and quantitative may, in both we see that there is a division between section 1 and section 2. So even within a section, you have to have a timed practice of 15, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and that is how you know that you are in the clear. So speed is of the element. You either know an answer, you can take a risk. Yes, there is no negative marking though. So you can definitely take a risk if you want to. But then ये भी है कि ज़्यादा errors नहीं create करने हैं, because getting a lot of wrong answers might also uh, affect your average score and percentile.
Okay.
Got it?
And ma'am, writing for the writing,
Hmm.
how will be like we will be writing through typing or maybe pen paper?
You will be typing. You will be typing. There is a whole dialog box given to you on the screen. Okay, you have the keyboard. You write everything down. Okay, so you timer अपने आप चालू हो जाता है. ठीक है, बॉक्स
ठीक
अपीयर होता है,
है।
ऊपर क्वेश्चन रहता है, नीचे डायलॉग बॉक्स है इन विच यू हैव टू टाइप, राइट, जैसे एकदम नोटपैड टाइप में रहता है वो. एंड द टाइमर हैज ऑलरेडी स्टार्टेड. Okay, so you have 30 minutes with you, you have to complete it and then it gets submitted. Whatever you have typed till that point, that gets submitted.
And is there any word limit? Yeah.
See,
Or should be
usually,
like this, कितना होना
हाँ,
चाहिए?
like ideally, I recommend not less than 250 words in any which scenario. 250 to 300 words तो एक एकदम decent amount of words है जो होना ही चाहिए. The max that you should stretch to is usually 500, 550 words. That is like a good enough essay. Okay, but minimum से minimum, bare minimum मैं बता रही हूँ, 250 words to 300 words on an average होना ही चाहिए GRE के essay में. Okay. Also, in
Yeah.
quantitative section, you people get an on-screen calculator. So a calculator is always presented to you. On-screen calculator रहेगा.
Oh, nice, nice.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
like for the quantitative reasoning, what will be the average timing to solve the question?
अगेन देखो, क्वेश्चन मिनट्स तो उतने ही हैं, बस टाइमिंग थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट. यू आर गेटिंग 5 minutes मोर. नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस 27 ही है. इफ यू डू द
Mm,
मैथ अगेन, इट इज ब्रेकिंग डाउन टू लाइक लेट्स से 2 minutes per question, नॉट मोर देन दैट. वो भी मैं ज्यादा ही बोल रही हूँ,
mm, ठीक है।
है ना, उससे ज्यादा
Mm,
नहीं होगा. बिकॉज इफ
okay.
इवन इफ यू वांट टू लाइक रिवाइज, तो 2 मिनट के अंदर अंदर योर क्वेश्चन नीड्स टू बी सॉल्व.
Mm, okay.
ओके.
Mm,
तो दैट इज हाउ वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन दिस. एंड एक और चीज क्या है कि अब बहुत शॉर्टर ड्यूरेशन का हो गया है, पहले ये लॉन्गर ड्यूरेशन का होता था. नाउ एवरी सेक्शन इज एक्सट्रीमली टाइम. जो हम ये देख रहे हैं ना कि इंडिविजुअल टाइमिंग भी फिक्स है. इफ यू हैव लेट्स से 18 minutes to solve 12 questions, एंड ये पूरा आरसी सेक्शन है, so now you need to understand, you have 18 minutes, you have to read complete RCs within those 18 minutes, plus solve all the 4 or 5 questions each and every passage has. And all of this needs to happen within that 1 minute.
okay. And one more question, ma'am.
Hmm.
The kind of RCs we get in CAT and ZAT, and what about GRE
Right.
RC? Because this time in ZAT, the RCs were very long.
Hmm.
Um, so in GRE, क्या strength रहती है? तो कितना long
हाँ,
रहता है?
मैं बता रही हूँ. Yes, Prachi, you also have a question.
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask that earlier you had mentioned that there will be 4 to 5 RCs, right? Or how many RCs and then
4.
4 to 5 questions?
Typically it's 4. 4
Okay,
RCs and 4
4 to 5
questions, sorry,
questions.
4-5 क्वेश्चंस, मतलब ये हो सकता है कि आरसी वेरी कर जाए. एट टाइम्स ये भी हुआ है कि देयर हैव बीन लाइक 3 आरसीज, 4 3s आर 12. ओके,
Hmm,
12 to 15 भी कभी कभी हो जाता है कि 15 वाले सेक्शन में आरसी आ गया, 12 वाले में ये दूसरा आ गया. दो स्विचेस हैव एट टाइम्स हैपेंड.
okay.
ठीक है, तो वो
Yes,
थोड़ा
ma'am.
सा स्विच हो सकता है, इंटरनल स्विचिंग.
So basically, we see to it that RC questions should also be answered within a fraction of a minute.
या एग्जैक्टली,
Got it.
which
Thank you.
includes reading it and making points.
Oh, yes.
क्योंकि मिनिमम 3 आरसीज तो आ ही रहे हैं. एंड
Hmm,
टिपिकली लेट्स से यू हैव 4 क्वेश्चंस पर आरसी, 4 3s आर 12 हो गया.
hmm.
बस बात खत्म. या तो 4 आरसीज होंगे 3 क्वेश्चंस ईच, या 3 आरसीज होंगे 4 क्वेश्चंस ईच. टिपिकली इफ वी लुक एट अ फिगर ऑफ 12 क्वेश्चंस,
Noted. All right, ma'am.
है ना.
Thank you.
सो स्पीड इज ऑफ द एसेंस. एंड जब हम जीआरई की प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, मोर देन एनीथिंग एल्स व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू ट्रेन यू फॉर इज स्पीड. कि जल्दी जल्दी कैसे करना है. Yes. Now coming to your question, Praveen. Now essentially the difference between GRE versus CAT and XAT is not much. हाँ, difficulty level questions में बदल जाता है. What happens in CAT and XAT is that we focus on vocabulary. Our questions can get very typical uh, about inductive reasoning. Yes, you have to read in between the lines. Uh, and it's a little complicated. The language structure is a little complicated because we exam Indian hai. When it comes to GRE, GRE requires more of your fluency. When you start practicing for GRE, ये नहीं होगा that तुम्हें questions tricky लगेंगे. Questions happen to be fairly easy. The difficult part is the text that you are getting to interpret. Because in GRE, your source material happens to be world literature. And what do I mean by world literature? Almost anything under the sun. Yes, it could be some excerpts from international journals. It could be, let's say, an article from the Huffington Post. Okay, New York Times से कुछ उठा के दे दिया, right? Um, Evening Post से कुछ दे दिया. So like you might be witnessing texts that are international in their level. Okay, they are international publications. So now what's more important is that you need to have a very lucid understanding of how the language works. Because cat and that may there is also a high chance that you get Indian texts, right? A lot of Indian texts are there. And हमारे यहाँ पे questions ज्यादा tough होते हैं. GRE में questions easy लगेंगे. But what becomes a little tricky is to very quickly understand the subtle language that they have in their texts. However, with practice, वो easy हो जाता है. But then there will be a certain level of that particular essay. So it completely starts depending upon what is your level of understanding of the language. Language का nuance पकड़ लोगे तो questions easy पड़ेंगे. लेकिन पता चल रहा है कि हम अपना like because I'm trying to read an essay and it's taking time. मान लो एक research paper का ही excerpt आ गया. Now I'm trying to read it and make sense of it very quickly. But then by the time I reach to the questions, my time is already up. So that is the more tricky part instead of the questions,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
So this is how GRE works. Of course, if you're somebody who feels ki nahi, my reading comprehension is not that good. Of course, CAT और ZAT के भी passages को reference point बना के practice कर सकते हो. But then just read the passage. Do not stick to the question type. क्योंकि GRE में जो questioning होती है वो बहुत situational होती है. Yes, reasoning यहाँ पे भी है, inference यहाँ पे भी है. But then it is very subtle and nuanced. जैट या कैट की तरह एकदम पॉइंटेड क्वेश्चंस नहीं होते, that अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो फिर क्या होगा, if this is true then what will happen, if that is valid then how do we make this invalid. इस टाइप से कोरिलेशन नहीं होता है. They are more observational in nature. They might give you, let's say, four situations and they ask you that based on the following passage, which one of these arguments is the most applicable on the passage, or is this like a perfect example of whatever is being talked about in the passage, or you might get a very situational question out of it. So both question types become easier, but understanding the text very quickly and then solving all the three four questions and getting your answers right, that is the ultimate challenge.
Okay, ma'am. And for the reference, what are the ways of preparation? जैसे world literature वाली चीजें.
Right. So now I'm coming to this itself, right? That how do we start preparing for GRE, right? So first and foremost, एक चीज जो तो मैंने बोल ही दी है, that first thing you really need to start working on is your timing. ठीक है, सबसे पहले टाइम पे फोकस करना चालू करो कि मैं कम देर में ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस कैसे सॉल्व करूं. नाउ आई कम टू द सोर्सेज. What do we do about this? Now, quant के लिए तो ठीक है, you are going to practice questions. Verbal reasoning के भी sections या analytical writing के लिए भी we'll be sitting down and having our own practice sessions. That is a separate thing. But apart from this, another thing that you people can do is very simple. अगर लग रहा है कि because see again, analytical writing भी क्या कर रहा है? Analytical writing is again checking your writing prowess. Yes, so there is a whole rubric of how do we analyze a writing set? What are the points to look at? How is the grammar being evaluated? How the sentence construction has to be? And we'll be going in detail about that rubric in our like one of the sessions. But then, अब analytical or verbal, दोनों की दोनों are demanding you to be extremely well read, essentially more and more eloquent. So for this, I personally believe in going for all the open sources available. Like read up and don't read up like random things. One simple example is Substack. Substack खोल लो. Substack पे इतने अच्छे अच्छे blogs हैं, इतने अच्छे अच्छे write-ups हैं, right? Open Substack, read what people have written. Try to read a variety of stuff. Even that, like, information से मुझे मतलब नहीं. My main target for GRE happens to be that am I comfortable with the words? Am I comfortable with the language that is being used? Even if I do not understand the concept. So read up. You can read various newspapers, different materials. Yes, Prachi?
Sorry, I'm intruding. Just
No.
wanted to ask that you mentioned Substat,
Substack. Just a second.
SUBST.
SUBS. Wait, I'll write it down in the chat box. Substack is such a great place. None of you are on Substack?
No, I
Ma'am,
haven't
I'm
heard of
on
it.
that.
You're on that. Do you read?
Yeah, yeah, I read. I read and I post also sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Even I am on Substack. But I don't write, I just stalk
It's more
people.
American, like
Yeah,
if you, yeah.
yeah.
And
But then
after Substack, oh,
after
sorry,
Substack,
continue.
after Substack, then I said like read open sources, newspaper articles or online you can go. There is another one. I'm not able to remember its name. Just a second, let me look it up. I have that app as well. I don't know if I've subscribed to it. Um,
Ma'am, one is that medium app is over there.
yeah, that is also there. एक minute. Yes, the juggernaut. ये भी एक है. So here again, you get very nuanced stories on the South Asian community, pop culture references. The articles that are written by these people are again very well analyzed and very systematic in their structure. Why do we have to read all this? So that we get in touch with how something is supposed to be written. If I'm putting forward a particular argument, how my language has to be, how is the sentence construction, vocabulary भी बहुत अच्छी अच्छी मिलती है. So this is also one place. Yes, you can go for this. Okay. Or you can simply just, go online, read articles written by prominent journalists. You can directly go on like the newspaper sources, the websites, and through that read whatever you can find. So that way you will get extremely adaptive with understanding nuance. Because GRE देखो ultimately होता किसके लिए? Graduate record exam is being conducted by America, right? So you will have that American touch in whatever you're going to read. You should also be a little well versed with, the American language system that there is. Okay, I'm reading something about it. What if something comes from that? So ये थोड़ा बहुत nuances हमें पता होना चाहिए. So for that reason, I would suggest कि थोड़ा सा here you can experiment, you can go on a wild goose chase. यहाँ पर ही आकर GRE कैट और जैट से बहुत अलग हो जाता है, बिकॉज कैट और जैट के लिए आई विल ऑलवेज सजेस्ट यू टू रिलाई ऑन इंडियन सोर्सेज, राइट? हम बोलते हैं कि द हिंदू पढ़ो और लाइक रीड आवर एडिटोरियल्स, आवर लैंग्वेज एंड दिस एंड दैट, बिकॉज हम बहुत एनालिटिकल होकर क्वेश्चंस करते हैं. Their questioning pattern is more nuanced. It is sticking simply on two pillars. One, are you able to like give a quick read to something and then based on that answer a couple of questions in essentially 5 minutes? That is what they are assessing. Secondly, what they are assessing is your language prowess. How much of the vocabulary do you know? Are you able to understand? Are the words on the tip of your tongue or not? So वो भी एक section है. So that is another thing that you have to work on. Then when it comes to analytical writing, of course, we are going to work on analytical writing and how we have to build it, किस तरीके से we have to structure. That is again another stretch altogether. But ये main pillars होते हैं. So इसलिए यहाँ पर आकर experimentative reading करना बहुत जरूरी है. I wouldn't suggest you people novels and fiction and all of that. No. If you love reading, that's lovely. But here, what we really need to understand is how to maintain speed and how do I read a detailed piece, an article particularly, and intercept information from that and then move on. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now, ये तो हो गया एक basic discussion and the complete overview of the exam. Yes. Now, based on whatever we have discussed till now, very quickly, um, I want you people to tell me and analyze whatever we have discussed till now. Individually, please tell me what pain points do you feel are there in your prep? Also, by what time are you planning to appear for your GRE? Because of course, GRE, unlike CAT and ZAT, is not happening once in the year. So when are you planning to give it? What is your personal calendar looking like? And what are your pain points? Take 5 minutes, analyze all of it. You do not have to speak, but you write down all of it in a very comprehensive manner in the chat box. I'm giving you all 5 minutes. Difficulty. Okay, that's all right, Manisha. Got it. Thank you so much. Others also, please give your tentative time when you're planning to appear and what is your difficulty area, the challenges that you're facing. August, September, right? 70. Quantitative reasoning. Qualitative reasoning तो है ही नहीं. I'm like September. Vocabulary. ठीक है. December challenges vocab. Okay. All right. So I can see everybody has their own pressure points. Vocabulary is certainly one of the things that we have to work on because it's very typical. Planning day in January, October. Forms and vocabulary, though I'm working on both. Oh, all right. So I guess it boils down to three things. Okay, one is speed. Okay, the most important bit is structuring your essays, and then third is vocab. Okay, so what we'll be doing essentially is that we'll be trying to figure out uh, how each of you can have your own unique study plans based on your pressure points, and that would really help you guys out. Okay, now, of course, we'll be having our sessions wherein we are going to practice questions or we are going to discuss things, but I want you all to do one exercise by the time we connect the next time. Okay, when it comes to especially verbal and writing. When it comes to quant, I will simply say this thing that देखो quant happens to be an easier section in the GRE. GRE का pain point is analytical writing and verbal reasoning. उसके कारण नंबर कम होते हैं. जैसे like I told you कि adaptive test है. अगर पहले verbal reasoning आ गया और फिर quant आया, तो things might vary for you. Okay. So quant के लिए तो very simply I will suggest one thing. अगर quant में दिक्कत आ रही है, I'll say कि just practice questions daily. Consistency is key when it comes to quant. कोई पर्टिकुलर कॉन्सेप्ट उठाओ. अगर कॉन्सेप्चुअली यू नो दैट ओके ये पर्टिकुलर सेगमेंट मुझसे सॉल्व नहीं हो रहा है या दिस इज समथिंग आई रियली नीड टू वर्क ऑन, or let's say this is a particular area wherein I am again and again forgetting things, you make up a set, right? 12 plus 15 का कॉन्सेप्ट है. 12 plus 15 का कॉन्सेप्ट लेके ही डेली काम करना चालू कर दो. sit down for 47 minutes at a stretch, or sit down for like 21 minutes and then 26 minutes. Pick up your random 12 and 15 questions and practice them. आधा सुबह करो, आधा शाम को करो. 15 मिनट और ऐसे 15 मिनट करके पता नहीं चलता है time. But try and do it. Let it go wrong. Let your answers go wrong. And this is, I'm speaking for quantitative at the moment. Let them go wrong. The moment they go wrong, you know, acha, these questions went wrong. Let me review the concept. Let me practice this set. This is a question type that is difficult for me. This is the one that is not. But starting today or tomorrow, please start doing this. Quant सीधे सीधे practice से ही आएगा. Nothing else is going to work. क्योंकि quant में कोई personal study time नहीं है. और quant में मैं personally यही suggest करती हूँ that if you end up practicing mathematics, concept wise, mathematics ज्यादा time ले लेता है. As a person who has myself studied PCM with economics in 11th and 12th and having prepared for different competitive exams, this is one thing that I observed in the long run. Maths में concept लेके categorize करके एक चीज के पीछे मत भागो. Because what will happen, एक concept आएगा, उसके questions कर लोगे, दूसरा redundant हो जाएगा. In fact, what I would suggest is कि सब कुछ mix कर लो एक साथ. Okay, have like two, like create a set of 8 or 9 questions, put on a timer of 15 minutes, solve them. See how are you able to handle the variancy, because it is an automated test. So the moment it comes in your exam also, you will not be surprised. Exam में एक जो बहुत बड़ा detrimental factor होता है, वो ये भी होता है. See what happens in verbal and analytical. Analytical में मुझे लिखना है, मैंने structure की practice करी है. अब मेरी लैंग्वेज की प्राउस जितनी होगी उसके बेसिस पर माय स्कोर इज गोइंग टू जनरेट. व्हेन इट कम्स टू वर्बल, अगेन देयर इज वोकैबुलरी, देयर इज रीडिंग, एंड नाउ अगेन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ बेटर, like how much I've improved my language, how much I've worked on it. Based on that, everything gets decided. But when it comes to quantitative, in quantitative there is a shuffling that is happening. And there are 4 to 5 segments, right? So अब मेरे पास में DI का भी क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, ज्योमेट्री का भी आ रहा है, अर्थमेटिक भी आ रहा है. And they are not coming in some particular sequence that there is. So वो बहुत random होता है. At times students के marks सिर्फ इसलिए चले जाते हैं because वो जो एक random switch होता है between the concepts थोड़ा सा. That is also something that creates a very tricky point, right? So quant के लिए तो I'll start suggesting you guys that daily एक timed practice बना लो. जहां उसमें दिक्कत आई, नहीं सॉल्व हो रहा है, then of course you can approach sir and tell him that ये मुझसे नहीं हुआ या my speed is reducing or whatever. But quant को ऐसे practice करो. When it comes to verbal, verbal के लिए एक चीज जो मैं अभी बोलूंगी वो ये कि this week just randomly take up a topic and try to write an analytical essay on it. Obviously it will be issue based, or if you people want, I can give you a topic today. You take your time and you write something. What do you say?
That will be better, ma'am.
ठीक है. So just give me a second. I will type it here. Then you can take a screenshot of it. Okay, here is your topic. It's a screenshot here. Now, whenever you people are done with it individually, what you can do is you can send me your essays on WhatsApp. Okay, so I'll take a look at it, I'll read it, and then I'll let you guys know. ठीक है, इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो, Sit down and write whatever you can. ये timed नहीं है. You can just sit down with this, figure out what you want to write, how you want to write, but just write it without the help of anything at all. Okay, बस बैठ जाना है. Let's see where you are at. This will really help us in understanding and analyzing कि writing में भी particularly what are the pain points. मैं किस scale पे lie कर रहा हूँ between let's say 1 to 6, and how do I increase my score? And everyone will have their own subjective issues. So that's why solve this one and then send it to me on WhatsApp. Okay. तो ये तो हो गया analytical. Now, when it comes to verbal as well, right now, if it depends again how far you have been practicing or not. एक तो सीधा सीधा सा है कि question banks करो. However, GRE में it's more about your well-rounded information and knowledge that you've gathered over time. So what you can do is very simply, like I said, थोड़ा सा browse करना चालू करो and start reading things that seem a little bit more difficult to you. Instead of having very comfortable reads on your tabs, try to read something that is a little bit more complicated. It could be very simple that let's say you're referring to an Indian author to study for whatever you are studying. Maybe you're studying a particular concept, maybe you are preparing a report, maybe you're someone who's working and you are taking a look at certain samples. Now try and read the more difficult sample and see how it goes for you. Okay, so you will become more and more well-rounded. That okay, how do I approach this? What are the things? Vocabulary वाला part को slowly with repetition and practice ही धीरे 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 inculcate करना. So question banks तो separately चालू कर ही दो parallel. Okay, but vocabulary में वही होता है कि हम वो घिसा पिटा अप्रोच नहीं लगा सकते कि ठीक है मैंने डेली के 20-30 क्वेश्चंस कर लिए and the next day it's over, it's a brand new set. No. What you can do though is very simple. Okay, you people even have chat GPT, right? Chat GPT को अपना असिस्टेंट बना लो. और I'll simply say कि फ्लैश कार्ड्स वाली बहुत सारी एप्स हैं ऑनलाइन, right? You daily just sit down and randomly tell the app to generate 10 to 15 standardized GRE vocabulary sets or words and see if you know them or you don't know them. You can ask it for becoming your assistant and giving you a flashcard or a prompt, and then you attempt it and then it gives you the next one. कुछ ऐसा timed practice करके खुद से चालू करो. Because GRE की prep आप CAT-ZAT की तरह नहीं कर सकते. It's not pen and paper. It's something which is completely automated. So we have AI at play, right? So do start doing something like this. कई बार क्या होगा, words repeat होंगे, patterns repeat होंगे. At that point of time, you might be able to recollect something or you might not be able to recollect it. तो ये एक चीज हो गई, ये एक practice करके देखना. Also, when it comes to the books, GRE Manhattan prep के तो सारे questions लगा दो. कहीं से भी ये बुक अरेंज करो और इसके सारे क्वेश्चंस लगा दो अच्छे से. ये टारगेट करो अपने एग्जाम के पहले, मुझे ये बुक कंप्लीटली फिनिश करनी है. मैं इस बुक को कब अटेम्प्ट करूंगी, जब मैंने थोड़ा सा सेल्फ स्टडी कर लिया है, थोड़ी सी प्रैक्टिस कर लिया है, आई हैव लुक्ड अप सम सोर्सेज, देन आई एम गोइंग टू अटेम्प्ट क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम दिस. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. और अगर मान लो जैसे सबका अपना अपना अटेंशन स्पैन होता है, तो मैं लग रहा है कि मैं एक सेक्शन करते हुए लाइक आई एम गेटिंग बोर्ड, और या मैं एक सेक्शन एक दिन कर रहा हूँ तो मैं दूसरा अगले दिन भूल जा रहा हूँ, और वट एवर इट इज. तो ये भी कर सकते हो कि जैसे 12 और 15 है, ऑसिलेट कर लो कि ओके डेली का मैंने 40 मिनट्स का अपने लिए प्रैक्टिस सेशन बना लिया है. 12 क्वेश्चंस वन डे विल बी ऑफ इंग्लिश, 15 विल बी ऑफ मैथ, नेक्स्ट डे 15 विल बी ऑफ इंग्लिश, 12 विल बी ऑफ मैथ. ये ऑसिलेशन भी कर सकते हो. So like you figure out how you want to do it, but a combination of timed practice, open reading, and then having a weekly target कि मेरे एग्जाम जो मैं देने की सोच रही हूँ या सोच रहा हूँ, उससे पहले पहले मुझे ये पर्टिकुलर बुक completely finish करनी है. That is something that you all have to mandatorily do. I also take GRE classes privately, right? So whenever I have students, that is what I essentially tell them. When I start my sessions, I tell them that मुझे ये book खत्म चाहिए. And within 2 months, like they have completed the book, they're practicing questions left, right, and center. And मैं पहले ही 1 महीने के अंदर अंदर उसे finish करा देती हूँ. It's not a very heavy book. There are not like a lot of questions. Okay, 150, 120 ऐसे ऐसे हैं. डेली के भी 15-20 किए तो 2 हफ्ते 3 हफ्ते के अंदर अंदर you will completely be done with the book. Got it?
Yeah.
And has everyone taken a screenshot of the essay topic?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. So अपने personal essays लिख के in your own time within this week before my next session, do send them to me on WhatsApp so that I can give you a very personalized feedback about how you wrote and what are the things that are missing. Got it?
Noted,
All
ma'am.
right. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I have your number? Like, I don't have your number with me.
I'm writing my number on the chat box and on the groups as well. But yeah, here it is.
Thank you.
Okay. एक और चीज भी हम कर सकते हैं, which is something I would suggest. We all can also create an informal WhatsApp group wherein all of you are preparing for GRE, right? So we can create this informal WhatsApp group wherein you can post your essays, whatever you practice, or I can post certain articles if there are to read or something else. So there can be a particular exchange that keeps on happening by the time people have given GR, right? So this is also something that we can do. Is there, okay, word limit. Again, like I said, a minimum, say minimum, I would suggest 250 to 350 words is like a decent amount. And if you want to score really high, then I would suggest 400 plus. Should go like 450, 500. That sounds like a very good detailed essay. Minimum to minimum, it has to be like a bare minimum that you need to have has to be 250 words, not less than that. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, I feel the WhatsApp group informal would be great because the notification will come and it would be a reminder for everyone to like be consistent. And it's
Right.
yeah,
Right. So I was hoping if you people could create it for me. That would be fine by me. Because otherwise I'll have to like look up all of you and then create the group and everything. Can you do that?
yeah, I can make if everyone can share their contact number. Now I can make it. We are very
Yeah.
few people.
Everyone please share your numbers.
After this class, I'll make group. I'll take
Yeah,
screenshots of
sure.
all them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. That's completely fine. Okay. All right. So everyone, that's it from my end for today. Okay. I've already assigned you this essay writing task. I want you to finish it. And apart from that, please do a little bit of timed practice and then have a particular introspection that what is the pressing point for me and how do I move forward? Yes. And in the next session, of course, now we are going to focus on our specific sections. How do we attempt them? How do we do them? And all of the sessions are going to be particularly timed. Yes, because this means speed is key. We are going to mix and match. Meanwhile, I'll share some of the other stuff on the group as well to read just in case. whatever there is. I might even share certain blogs or links or whatever there is for GRE. Okay. Not all the information on available online is absolutely correct. Some of the material is even redundant. So whatever interesting I find, I'll be sharing it across on WhatsApp. All right.
Yeah, works, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night.